Okay, everybody, we're going to do a short video on this one here, and I'm going to show you how taking this image here, we go from this to the painting, and why this stage is so important as toward where I want to put the colors. Okay, now every time as I'm working on this, I'm not thinking about I'm doing a sketch. I'm thinking about which colors go here. Okay, when I think about this dark color, what color is that? Okay, that actually drops back. It's from here, here's the closest, drops back, here comes forward, and then drops way far back. So I got to think about these colors here. I got to think about this mid-range here, and I got to think about what colors go here. Now there's a way of doing that, but we're going to do it by the sketch process. Okay, and some of this, like right here, is indented. So I'm going to come here as a darker value. And that is really dark, and it kind of comes up to these little crease areas. Okay, and you can see again how I'm looking. I'm looking specifically at these areas. Now, the entire time we've been drawing and sketching, you know, it's like, what is the purpose? What does this mean? Well, one, it's a challenge, and to see if you guys can actually accept the challenge. And two, I can't teach you color until you understand values. Values, I mean, I can throw brushes at you all day long and paint all day long at you, but until you actually, you know, understand why we do this, it's very hard to do that. And some people, you know, it's like the typical thing is, well, how come I'm working in black and white if I'm trying to understand color? It's all about values. And what we've learned over the decades and centuries is that whenever you have a colored image and you try to do color, you get tied up with this color here. You get tied up with this color. You try to match it, and it typically throws you off. That's the reason why most times I don't even give you a color image. I give you a black and white image. So it's also, you know, and I'm just going to speed through this process because, you know, you can kind of see if I, and again, what color is going to be here in this little area here? These highlights, what color is going to be there? So the entire time I'm doing this part here, I'm thinking about those things. These things right here are the reason how we come up with the paintings we do, how we come up with the imagery. Now I want you to think about this though a second. As I'm doing this, in your life, you got challenges. This is a challenge. Now, if we take the challenge, we handle it, we're successful at it, we get to do something with it. We have something to work with. If we don't take the challenge, then all of a sudden, what happens? It's like being on a job site and them asking you to do a job, and you can't do the job because you're afraid of taking that challenge. So it's a way of doing it. Now, I'm not sure if trying to equate this to a job is what you guys want to hear, but honestly, this is what it is. It's a job like anybody else, anything else, but it's a job that, I don't know, I've always done. And it's like, okay, well, if I've always done the job, then to me, it's a job. And to you, it looks like it's fun. Okay, so I take the fun out of it when I make it into a job. Not intentional, but it's just like everything has a learning curve. Everything has a reason why we're doing this. So that's, you know, if you're having a hard time trying to equate this to fun, well, it's because you're learning. And you're learning how to do this. And you're learning how to do the sketching part. And you're learning how to create. And you're learning a whole different set of tools that you've never known before. And that right there constitutes work. You know, sometimes we do things because, well, they seem easy, but when they're end of it, we've actually worked our butt off, i.e. play basketball, okay, i.e. play sports, i.e. We want to go to work, right? So we learn a job because, wow, we want to make some money. Well, that job might be the hardest job on the face of the planet, yet again, we still learn it. Why is that? You know, it's not an easy job, but we know there's something at the end of it, a paycheck. So that's what I want you guys to think about here, is that all I'm doing here is I'm not trying to do anything more than give you the ends on a job. If you were hired, say I said, okay, I'm going to hire you guys, and I need to have a bunch of sketches like this done. I was going to pay you $10 a sketch. Okay, and you're going, well, okay, well, $10. Oh my God, that's not much. Oh, it only took me 10 minutes to do that sketch. Wow, that's not too bad. That's $10 for 10 minutes. That could be $60 an hour, depending on what you're doing. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden I look at the work and you sped through it and you didn't really do it right. And I said, no, I'm sorry, but you're not getting paid for that because, it wasn't to criteria, which means you didn't follow directions because you were given direction at the very beginning. So then you go back and you have to do it again. Now you think you've lost $10. But what you realize later is that that skill now is improved. So now you go in, you do another one, and you correct it. And that one might be okay. So you get your $10 and you go on, you do another one. You get another $10, you go on, you do another one. Then all of a sudden you do one and it's not quite there, so you lose $10 and you wind up doing another one. Okay, so, and eventually what happens is you do these consistent enough where it's like there's no question, the boss trusts you as toward your job and stuff like that, and you're making $10. You're making $10 every sketch. Now all of a sudden you're making $60 an hour. You're going, holy crap, I could do this. Now, which part of that is not a job? Which part of that is, which part of that is not equatable to an income? Well, I want to do this on my own. Why am I only getting $10 when I'm doing all the work? Well, there you go. Now you're learning the first sense of business. You're learning that in order to do anything, you have to get better at it. You have to have somebody teach you how to do it. And then all of a sudden, you do something with it. And that's, my friends, is how we do it. And that's how all business is done and created. That's all, anything you've ever thought about doing is done. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this in such a way to where you kind of get it. That it's a class. It's supposed to be something fun. But now you're finding it's a little bit of work because, I'm holding you to a certain criteria. Values here, lighter values here, how you're handling it, how tight your lines are. If your lines are just getting the shape instead of being more detailed, what's the purpose of that? Is there lines in this? I mean, am I coming out here and I'm just doing, a bunch of lines when there's no real lines there? Am I making this up as I'm going instead of actually following directions? So you're starting to see that I'm holding you to a certain set of standards. And those standards are the same thing that you're going to be held to with everything else you ever do. So what is the problem with learning those standards now? I mean, it's an advantage going to work. Y'all want to work. Y'all want to make a living. Y'all want to make money. So again, we come down to, what is the problem? Okay, now here's a problem we have. We have white. We also have values. So I've got to change my value system here. I'm going to try to do this in such a way to where it's really light. So it reminds you of a white. So even that, when you're dealing with black, white, and shades of gray, white areas then become a little tougher because you're trying to figure out how to make that white, like right here. Okay, this is not white, this has a value to it. Or this has the same value as here, but that's a different color. So how do we represent that? So I mean, we have this right here has really light values on it, but also so does this. So these are challenges that you throw yourself. Now tell me any job right now that you've done or you're doing where there isn't a challenge to it. Okay? So the more I do this, the more I work with this sketch, the more three-dimensional and more realistic it's going to come, right? It's going to look really three-dimensional if I really put it in there. Now, is my purpose to do this, or is my purpose to get to a painting? Well, my purpose is to get to the painting. So we're going to show you that. So I'm going to show you how I start, everything like that. And then if you feel brave enough, you can come in and we can do one together. And I'm still working on a water system, so it's going to be kind of funky. You might have to go get water, so just so you know. And the one thing you want to keep in mind is no matter what you do, you can still, I can kill things. It's like trying to make sure I got light there, light here. You know, it's like, how do you represent that? There's this little bit of, you know, shading here that's really light. It comes down like this. Okay, it comes like this. So, you know, there's always these little tiny things. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video because I think you kind of get the idea what I'm doing here. If you got any questions, please post them or please ask. And I'll be more than happy to share that experience with you as toward why this is so important, how it equates to what you're doing in life, how it equates to everything you're doing as a job. And we'll just kind of plug along. So anyway, this is the first step. Second step.